Welcome to the Brian Craig Show podcast. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome one and all. And there's some important things I want to cover here and have a real serious discussion and your calls. The president is scheduled to have a bill signing coming up. In fact, it was we're a little behind schedule. It was supposed to be about 26 minutes ago. If the president comes on for the bill signing, I will cut to it right here on the stream, okay? So don't worry about that. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, and, I want to talk about what I think is the most important story right now, okay? And that is the 2026 midterms. These are the most important midterms maybe in the entire history of the United States, certainly since the Civil War, because there were midterm elections during the Civil War. But after that, and those elections were important, if those Democrats would have gotten in and taken the majority in the middle of the Civil War, could you imagine? But next to that, this is important because what President Trump is doing, this is not a normal presidency. And this is what people don't understand. I know you guys do. I'm talking in general. People act as if President Trump is a regular president, a regular politician. This is just another presidency. And, they come right after the other. This is not a normal presidency. This is a very special presidency, especially having this second and non-consecutive term. Look at everything they did to try to stop Trump from coming back, right? How many times did they arrest him? I lost track. It was happening so much. New York, Fulton County, all that stuff. Miami, the federal courts. They shot him. They tried to shoot him again. All these things they did. The civil lawsuits. And all of that was a desperate attempt on their part to try to turn the public against President Trump. And guess what? None of it worked. None of it worked. Everything they did made him more and more popular. Okay? Right? And boom, right into the presidency with, again, in a non-consecutive term. And you look at the things that he is doing. Just in the last week, it's been going on all year with the shutting down of the southern border, but just in the last week, look at all this great news involving the war on drugs, in particular with fentanyl. President Trump said 91% of the fentanyl and other illegal drugs coming to the United States by sea has been stopped. Virtually all of it has been stopped at the southern border with the shutdown of the southern border. He made a deal with China to stop shipping the fentanyl to Latin America and giving it to the cartels. He made a deal with China. This is where the tariffs came in. He made a deal with the tariff. This is just one thing that he's done on many, many levels. He also made a deal with the Chinese not to distribute the chemicals and other products that they manufacture in pharmaceutical plants in China that are used to make fentanyl, to cut all that off from these drug cartels and others. And we've seen a couple of big stories, a direct result of that this week. Three, right? One is President Trump pointing out that 91% of the illegal drugs coming to the United States by sea has been stopped. 91%. And it really may even be higher. I don't know who are these other 9%, but they may have them on storage boats or on some private boats, or who knows. But 91%, that's a lot. Then we got two stories from the DEA. One of them was that the fentanyl in the United States that they have been seeing is a lot less potent than the normal fentanyl. It's not even strong enough. It's not even close to the potency. It's not strong enough to get these junkies high anymore. And it's in short supply. And obviously the materials are in short supply. That's why the fentanyl that's being seized off the streets from these drug dealers and everyone in the country, the little fentanyl that's left, has such a low potency because of the chemicals being cut off. It's in short supply, so they're trying to stretch it out into as many, I don't know what it is, capsules, tablets, I don't know what it comes in. I mean, that's all great news. And on top of that, it was reported that there's been this year, the 2025, the year of Trump, and really this started with the shutting down of the border till now, fentanyl deaths, fentanyl overdoses are down 35% in 2025, which is at least 25,000 lives that have been saved by President Trump just cracking down on the fentanyl, all right? Now, the United States could have shut down the drugs decades ago. It's been allowed to happen, and it looks to me, with the way that the Democrats and the deep state, the seditious six and all, are fighting so hard against stopping the drug shipments coming, or stopping Trump from stopping the drug shipments from coming to the country, they seem to have some vested interest in keeping the drugs coming into the country. You know, it's really an amazing thing because radical leftists, mostly black activists like NAACP types in the 80s and in the 90s. There was no Black Lives Matter yet, but you know, the black radical leftist organizations of the 80s and 90s were all the time screaming from the top of their lungs that crack cocaine was brought into the inner city by the CIA, and that the CIA was using the cocaine dealing to fund all their operations around the world. And I always thought that was a bunch of crazy talk. But now I see what's going on, and I was like, you know what? They were on to something. I don't know if it was a broken clock right twice a day or if they had some knowledge. I don't know. But the drugs into this country that have destroyed I don't know how many people's lives, and it's not just those who are using the drugs and overdoses and their lives destroyed, the impact on their families. A lot of them commit all kinds of terrible, destructive crimes against people to fund their habits. You know how it goes. So, I mean, how many, just with the drugs, I'm not even talking about policies right now, like this bill signing we're waiting for today. Just on the illegal drugs coming in, look at what Trump has accomplished. It is absolutely amazing in just a few short months since they really started this war on drugs, right? It's absolutely phenomenal. And what's happening? The permanent political class in Washington, the media, the Democrats, the never-Trumpers, you know, all those people, they're doing everything they can do to stop him from doing these things. Who would be against that? So how does all this relate to the midterms? Well, next year is an election year. It is, without question, the most important midterms since the midterms during the Civil War. And that is not even close to an exaggeration. That is as far away from an exaggeration as I could possibly be. It is that important because if the Democrats just take back the House alone, all this will be stopped, right? The drug overdoses and all that stuff will be back. And all the other things. I'm not going to go through a list. You guys know what he's done and what's going on. I'm giving you an example of something that's just developed in the last 2 weeks that shows what an amazing job Donald Trump is doing. Who could be against that? I get some trolls like, what about Epstein and this photograph? Come on. Stop being stupid. Just man up and admit you hate Trump, and let's talk about that. Don't try to hide behind all these false flag issues. That'll all be stopped and reversed into terrible things if we lose the midterms. They'll impeach him about every week. Every Friday before they go home for the weekend, they'll impeach Trump. It'll be, it'll be to standstill. It'll be terrible. And all these good things that he's accomplished not only will be reversed, he won't be able to do anything else that's good. They'll do everything they can to stop him each and every step of the way. But a red wave is incredibly possible. Say, I don't buy this line that MAGA is divided. MAGA is not divided. You know, those of you that are longtime followers of mine on whatever platform you listen to me on, the radio, YouTube, a podcast platform, those of you that have listened and watched me for years and years and years, there's no division among MAGA people. There's a division between these egomaniac conservative influencers that we hear about all the time. right? I mean, there's a lot of fake MAGA pretending to have divisions. There's a lot of people involved in I don't know what, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that gets her to do a total 180 reversal on the whole MAGA movement, running around with her nose in the air that she's the true MAGA person, that Trump isn't. I mean, come on, that's absurd, But MAGA's not divided. We are not divided at all. When I say we're not divided, I'm talking about the rank and file people that voted for President Trump just over a year ago, right? We're not divided. And not only are we not divided, okay, the hardcore Trump base inside the government, they're not divided either, right? Look at this great staff he has at the White House, Stephen Miller and great people, and Bassett people, great people there. There's no divisions there. I don't even think there's a division with Elon Musk. I think it's very possible that Elon Musk left and created a feud with Trump it was a deal that he and Trump made to not just save his companies, but to stop the liberals from firebombing Tesla dealerships and risking the lives of his customers and employees. Would that be surprising to you if that's what happened? If you're on hold, stand by. We'll get to the calls shortly. So MAGA's not divided. A red wave is more than possible, but there are some things that can cause problems that we've got to take care of. One, and this is going to be something that is a difficult thing for me and to do. And I'm not, and I when you do something that's like a major change or something some things are hard to do. And I am going to spend a lot. I'd like to say I'm going to do it zero, but I can't swear by that because this news and events may happen and break where I have to cover this stuff. But I'm going to stop spending so much time spent on these narcissistic clout chaser disruptors, so-called conservative influencers that are causing the illusion of a divide. And I'll give you an example where I have done this. Do you know in Trump's second term, you have not heard me on any program in Trump's second term play a single audio soundbite from The View? And I used to regularly play sound bites from The View and break it down and talk about them and analyze them. And I don't. You may not have noticed. I noticed because I go out of my way to do this. When I see, when I'm doing my show prep before the shows and I see, oh, this happened on The View, that happened on The View, I don't put it in my stack of stuff. I don't play. I haven't done that for very good reason. Who cares what those old hags think? They're poisoned people who contribute nothing and no one is following what they do. And I'm going to do my best, except when news warrants. This is why I can't swear that this is going to be the way and it'll never happen again. I'm going to not spend so much time on the influencer gossip with Candace Owens and others on that list, okay? I'm still going to have to cover them because things are going to happen that are newsworthy. And I have to discuss them and I have to cover them. I'm obligated to do it. And they may say and do things that are stupid that I got to correct or analyze or we have to discuss, So I can't say I'm going to do that 100%, but I'm going to spend a lot less time doing it, or at least I'm going to try, okay? I can't promise something that's going to be a difficult thing to do, okay? It's going to be a difficult thing for me to do that, but I am going to stop because what they're doing is it's clout chasing. They don't care what they say. They don't care about this country. They don't care about the MAGA movement. They don't care about President Trump. All they care about is their own clout, their views, their likes, their shares, and, of course, how much money they generate from it. I shared on the stream this morning, you guys can go back and watch it, how much money Candace Owens is making every month just on YouTube. I gave you the exact amount. It's over $250,000 a month. A month. And by the way, that's just from what YouTube pays her for the views. That doesn't include ad deals and things. And she's making just under $3 million a year just from what YouTube pays her, Candace Owens. And that does not involve her ad deals. Now, clout chasing, what I say about clout chasing, like you remember a few weeks ago, after Tucker interviewed Nick Fuentes, next thing you know, everybody's interviewing Nick Fuentes, right? Patrick Bet-David, that shocked me. I like Patrick Bet-David that he did that. Pierce Morgan, they got Fuentes on. Why? Because it's views. He's a lot of people are paying attention to him now, so they want him on for the views. These things happen. Right now, Tim Pool is involved in this feud with Candace Owens, and I'm not saying that he doesn't believe the things he says, but I think he sees that he's getting a good run out of this. People are talking about him. He's relevant. He's getting views from it, right? And the way it works when you do things like that, if you start doing your podcast responding to like say, I'll tell you what's happening as an example with Tim Pool, okay? Tim Pool's done how many shows on Candace Owens in the last few days? And by the way, this is true with anybody. This is true of me too, okay? If like I talk a little bit about Candace Owens on the program, people that follow Candace Owens are going to have on podcast platforms and stuff my program recommended to. That's how it works. So what a lot of people do, this is what clout chasing is. What a lot of people do is they do things just about popular people so that they get recommended to their followers or their subscribers, depending on what the platform is. That's clout chasing. There's other forms of it, but that's what Tim Pool's doing right now. And again, I'm not saying that Tim Pool doesn't believe what it is he's saying. I do believe he's legit with what he's saying, but I think he's a little over-emotional about it, right? And some of the things he's saying are just to be outrageous for attention, I think. But that's clout chasing. Pierce Morgan having Nick Fuentes on. Patrick Bet-David having Nick Fuentes on. That's clout chasing. It used to be Andrew Tate was the big clout chasing thing everybody did. For whatever reason, Andrew Tate is very famous. I don't quite get it. And a lot of people have gone to Europe to interview him, but he came to Florida a few months ago, and he's in studio on podcast here in the United States. People want to have him on because they're clout chasing, and he's a man's man, and he talks how men should talk and how men should be and all this stuff. No, they just want Andrew Tate's clout. They want that. That's how you have him on. He's very famous. People are always looking for him. You get in his Twitter feed or something, his X feed. You have him on the show. It brings you a lot of viewers. That's clout chasing. That's what a lot of people do. And we have a handful. I mean, I could make a list, but there's a handful. It's 10 at the most of these main culprits that I'm talking about, that all they talk about are either themselves or what somebody else is saying about them, as opposed to talking about the issues. I spend most of my time talking about the news and the issues, and I will always do that. But the midterm elections, we can win them. We absolutely can win them if we get out of these kids' games from these psychopathic, narcissistic influencers that are creating an illusion of a divide that does not exist in the MAGA movement. Now, President Trump said something very interesting with Melania at the White House. I think this is the clip. If it's not, I'll try to find it when I'm in a break. Listen.
You all have a great Christmas, a great Hanukkah, and a fantastic year, but we're going to have a great 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. We're going to make it great.
Did you hear that? 3 years, 4 years, 10 years? Did you hear that? We're going to have a great 3 years, 4 years, 10 years as president. By the way, Melania is getting younger. She looks younger than she did in the first term.
Have a great Christmas, a great Hanukkah, and a fantastic year, but we're going to have a great 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. We're going to make it great. Our country is going to be strong, safe, rich. It's going to be great. We're going to make America great again. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're going to have a great 3 years, 4 years, 10 years? Really? What's that about? Is a third term possible? Is the president talking about a third term? Now, I'd like to hear your thoughts on everything I brought up so far. By the way, the president is scheduled to have a bill signing. If it happens while I'm on the air, I will cut immediately to it and carry it here, okay? So don't worry. You're not. I got it right over here. I'm monitoring, and I'm standing by in case it happens during the program. If you would like to call in, I very much want to hear your opinions on everything I've said so far. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. The Brian Craig Show podcast is available on all podcast platforms. Wherever you get your podcast, just search for The Brian Craig Show. I'm going to take a quick break and be right back.
If you have more than $1 billion, they're coming for you. At least in this book, the new thriller, Dragon Slayers, Eat the Rich, debuted at #1 in conspiracy and #1 in political thrillers on Amazon. And it's already being called one of the hottest and most relevant thrillers in years. The story follows a mysterious group targeting billionaires with stolen crypto, a public hit list, and quiet help from everyday people. Unlocking a door, sharing a location, changing a route. If you want a fast, timely, gripping read, check out Dragon Slayers, Eat the Rich. Available on Amazon and free on Kindle Unlimited. Peptide research is exploding, and GLP-1 is leading the charge. Across the country, researchers are exploring metabolic, regenerative, and cellular repair models like never before. At mypurepeptide.com, based in Dallas, Texas, they supply high-purity, lab-verified peptides for controlled research environments. Whether your work involves GLP-1 metabolic studies tied to weight and energy balance, cellular health and modulation models, or tissue repair pathways, mypurepeptide.com is committed to supporting your research with clarity and consistency. Visit mypurepeptide.com and use code DALLAS to save 25% on your order for research use only. mypurepeptide.com. This year's must-read nonfiction is here. Lessons from the Front. Available on Amazon, follows 25-year-old correspondent Robert Sherman into Ukraine and the Middle East, running from rockets, questioning militants, and discovering what war really asks of ordinary people. Lessons from the Front is honest, gripping, and unforgettable. Lessons from the Front. Available now on Amazon in Kindle, hardcover, and audiobook. Get your copy today. Lessons from the Front, from author Robert Sherman.
All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat if you're watching the program live on YouTube. Or you can just call 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Hold on a second, guys. You know what? I forgot to hook up the phone. Hold on. Give me a second. Hold on. I do that sometimes. I forget to connect the phone before I go on the air. I was at the radio station today, so I had to take everything apart in my studio here. Well, not everything, but a lot of things. Okay. All right. The phone is now connected. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Mike, I told you, can't be the first call. I told you. I know I'm going to put you on hold. I got like a full board. If I went to a casino and they had a roulette wheel, and one of them, instead of a number, said Mike in Louisiana, I'd bet on it every time. Unless I was conservative Doug. But, it'd be a toss-up. But Mike in Louisiana, I'd win every time. All right, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. I didn't know I was actually going to get on the air. Okay.
Well, yeah, sure. You called.
My name's... Okay, yeah, perfect. All right. I don't want to give out my name or what state I'm calling from. I just want to stay anonymous. I just want to ask you a couple questions if that's okay.
Well, before you do that, you know that if you gave out your name or state, you'd still be anonymous. It's not like you're, somebody famous that, oh my goodness, that's George Clooney from L.A. I mean, come on.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right, what's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Okay. All right, so essentially, I just want to know why do you currently support Trump, and why. Just give me like your top 2 reasons on why you support Trump right now.
Well, what is this? Some exclusive interview? I mean, come on. Have you been watching and listening to anything I've said? I've probably given 30 reasons since this episode began. I was talking about the fentanyl and everything.
Tuned in, unfortunately.
Well, you said you were listening. Now you're not. Well, you got to watch, listen, and catch up. I'm more interested in why you don't support him, and I don't want to hear the name Epstein.
I didn't. Oh, I didn't say I didn't support him.
Then you support. Then tell me why you support him.
I do not. But
well, then okay.
I can give you. That's
then
fine.
how did I? Come on. You don't support him. I know you don't support him, and you just admitted it. You're trying to act like, oh, I never said. You everything about you said that already. It's obvious.
Okay, that's fine. All right, yeah, I currently do not support the current administration. I do not. I just think he's not handling the economy well, personally.
Are you kidding me? The economy is booming. The prices are dropping. Gas is dropping. The interest rates are about to be cut. The stock market is booming. All right, listen, I'm going to move on. I have to talk to people that know what's going on, okay? I can't talk to uninformed people that don't know anything and think they know a lot. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's John Fornite out of California.
Hey, what's up, California?
Hey, so definitely his attempts and his successful steps in regards to attacking fentanyl and the fentanyl distribution has had a definite impact.
Absolutely.
I see it. I see the fact that I don't have as many patients having fentanyl issues, testing positive for fentanyl. I wish he would get on top of the meth issue that's coming up through Mexico, because that consistently has been a definite issue for several years, but he'll definitely get to it because they usually go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to these other individuals who I'm not going to necessarily mention by name, just the influencers in general, it would really be more beneficial, in my opinion, if they were actually doing more work. And what I mean by that is work in the areas that need to be, quote-unquote, exposed.
Yeah.
Related to the demise of the unfortunate passing and the violent passing of Charlie, the case has not even been presented. It hasn't even gone to court yet. It's still in the preliminary findings. A lot of the information that individuals have questions with will be, in court. So, I mean, all of this, running up to the event just seems to be a money-making sort of situation, and I don't get it. Like, I recall you doing some investigative work in regards to the baby formula.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall that?
Yeah.
How there was a huge, gigantic shortage, and nobody knew what was going on, and people were saying that there were, like, contaminants at the factories, and you were the one who ended up finding out that that was not the case at all, that it was going to illegal immigrants.
At the southern border,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The federal, the Biden, the Autopin administration of Biden was buying up this, all of the baby formula in the country for the illegals at the southern border.
Shortages all over the country.
Babies were going hungry.
And you were the one that, that ended up coming up with the reason of where it was.
Yeah, I did an investigative vlog, and on my YouTube channel you can find it about the baby formula. I did an investigative vlog, and you can watch that.
But see, and then that's the type of investigating that I'm speaking about. Like the issue in regards to Minnesota, that issue has been going on a long time and has only been reported by their local news agencies, when that kind of story should have actually been out within the general public months and months ago.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. All of this other stuff, and I'm not going to say that it.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's TMZ. It's gossip. It's the National Enquirer. It's a soap. It's a soap opera.
It's Jerry Spring. It's Jerry Springer.
Yes.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yes, Jerry Springer. Yes, absolutely.
It's doing the general public a huge, gigantic disservice when there are so many other things that actually need, because you know, one of the individuals you mentioned, she has an incredible reach. She does have, you know, reach in specific areas. So for her to be able to obtain that information, if she showed any interest in anything like that, like the Minnesota issue, she would be able to gain an incredible amount of information. We have a huge, gigantic scandal in the state of California.
I'll tell you what happens.
24 billion.
There's a couple things going on. There's a lot going on with Candace, okay? Some of it's the jealousy of Erica Kirk, and, you know, and I do believe she was in a relationship with Charlie, and she's obviously nuts, and he got rid of her. He dumped her, and she left. But she had 60 million views this month, you know, on this train that she's been going on, and she's made over $260,000 this month just from the views, not including the ad deals. That's a lot of money. And she's making so she sees those numbers. She wants to keep that coming in. So she goes from crazy thing to the next. It used to be everything was the Jews. Then she had the thing with the French first lady, and now this. Is to keep that momentum going. We're talking about the fentanyl crisis. It's a drug, what she's going through. She's like she's like an addict on a bender, with the views and the monthly income that's coming in from these lunacy positions she's taking.
I completely understand where you're going with that, and I completely agree with your perspective. I just wish that she could take that energy that she seems to have on this one particular subject and actually direct it towards something else, because I do believe that if she was to actually get involved with some of these other areas,
I'll give you an example. Candace Owens has done incredible work. When she was with the Daily Wire, Candace Owens uncovered that Black Lives Matter was a big grift, and they were using the money to buy mansions. Remember, she found that one BLM leader that had like 5 mansions or something. Remember that? Candace did that.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. That put her that ended up legitimizing her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It ended up, and it you know, when she speaks, people were paying attention, and yet when she goes on these issues that she's currently on that specific line of subject, to me, it just continuously takes her down an area where she's in a direct conflict with the man's wife. I mean, where are we going here with this? I mean, like, seriously, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. I really appreciate.
Well, you know, and what happens, you know, there was a story a couple days ago, some analysis done on Nick Fuentes, that his views, and not just his tweets, but his views, everything was coming from these foreign sources, bots and things overseas, you know, and it showed that his online huge numbers are fake, that are being pushed by these foreign bot farms or whatever they were doing. But what happens is he's in everybody's feed on X, so everybody talks about him. Same thing with Candace. I mean, I go on X day before yesterday. Everything is about Candace Owens, or you know, so, and that has an impact. So people are like, oh well, that's what's hot. That's what people care about. No, I think
it's wasted time.
And it's destructive. It's destructive to our midterm plans.
I think there's a lot more that, as far as energy, that would benefit people collectively if she was utilizing it more in line with previous subject matter that she's actually exposed, like
All right.
the Black Lives
Well, you
Matter.
made good points. I agree with everything you said.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, Sue from Aventura. How you doing?
All right, Sue, what's on your mind?
I was just going to say about Candace. Now, I know, I said, I've called you before, and I said I always agree with you with everything but Candace. Now, I've been watching Candace and Charlie for a long time. Candace, and I've been watching all the videos, I've been watching everything. She's been going on every night anyway, talking for a long time. She's had a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just there's something off. There's something off with the whole thing.
Well, be more specific. What do you mean? Something off with what? What are you talking about?
I can't explain it. So if you, like today, I just watched Jimmy Dore. Do you ever see Jimmy Dore?
I know who he is. I don't watch him, but I know
So she was was on there, and they had one guy saying we couldn't get any drones, and then the other guy saying, yeah, the drone was going by the crowd, and these were the Turning Point people.
You know, listen,
so confusing.
okay.
I'm not sleeping. My blood
The thing with
pressure's
Charlie
going
Kirk,
high.
all this talk about, you know, Charlie Kirk was the first political assassination of a non-elected official since Martin Luther King in 1968. So because of that, nothing like this has happened in over 50 years, right? That'd be, like 57 years, okay? So they just didn't have enough security and the right kind of security. Plus, that's very expensive stuff. And Turning Point USA has always survived on donations. And private security at the level people are talking about, he's not a president, is incredibly expensive and would eat up so much of the money that they've been fundraising. They just didn't have the security. Now there is, I do still believe that the guy was a patsy for political purposes, but I don't believe all this crazy stuff she thinks, inside Turning Point and all these other crazy things, Mossad, the Egyptian planes. This is just a rabbit hole. You know, I thought it was very suspicious. There were two guys at the scene who claimed they were the assassins right after it happened. Remember those two old men? You know, I mean, that was crazy. Never seen that happen before at anything. But no. Reading too much into those things. His security really are not professional security guys. His you know, when I was young before I was married and I'd go to clubs, they'd always have the bouncers. They weren't like Patrick Swayze and Roadhouse that are highly skilled in the martial arts. They're just some big guy there that doesn't know how to fight and probably couldn't run very far or very fast, but they're there to intimidate. Charlie Kirk's security, they were there to look like they were posing. They were there to look like they were some Secret Service type people, but they're not. They're like security guards or friends, buddies with earpieces.
Now, Andrew, now I'm going to switch quick to Andrew Tate. Now I've been watching him. I've been watching him for a long time too. He has now. I'm pretty good with picking people. He is such a comedian from the minute I started to watch him. It's the kind of thing that you have to have the personality and I think he is funny as anything. He could be a pig, but you know, so can't we all sometimes? But he is so funny. I think people have the wrong idea with him.
Well, hold on. I'm not really explaining. What I'm saying is with Andrew Tate, you may be right, and you know, with Andrew Tate, people that were conservative influencers, a whole bunch of them, always wanted him on for views. And what happened with Andrew Tate is conservatives were turning him into some hero of the MAGA movement in the right because he stands up for what a man's supposed to be. And that was such a load of garbage.
But at that time, we were going through all the COVID. We were being silenced. So, and then they were telling the kids to dress as women. So he was going to say, no, you don't do that. Yeah.
You know, with his background and all those, you don't want somebody like that being a front man for our movement. It's destructive.
I know. I hear you. I know what you. Oh my God! And one more thing. What was I going to say real quick? Mike from Louisiana, we still love you, but just don't call in first.
Well, okay. I'm going to explain the thing about Mike from Louisiana. I told him he can't be the first call. I put him on hold. I don't know if he's still on hold or not because I forgot what line he was on. I never said he couldn't call. He just can't be the first call. All right. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. If you're on hold, stand by. So getting back to the point that I brought up here to start the podcast, we can win the 2026 election, and we can win it overwhelmingly and gain seats in both houses. And by the way, there'll be governors up. We could win and gain governors and in our state legislatures. It is very possible. It's not out of reach unless we screw it up. Okay? And if we get involved in this, I like what the caller said, this Jerry Springer influencer drama that's going on, that will screw it up. Another thing that would screw it up is if we spend all this time, I mentioned this morning, it really ticked me off. Jesse Waters, he's like, well, the Democrats are going to win the midterms. Well, yeah, if you go in with this attitude that we're going to lose and you depress our turnout, maybe they will. And I understand that historically, the party in power loses in the midterms. President Trump said there's only been 2 times that hasn't happened in recent history. Obviously, historically, that's the truth. But how many presidents come back for a second and non-consecutive term? Yeah. And the rank and file MAGA voter is not divided. The people that call in that you hear me talk to that say that, well, I voted for Trump 2 times, 3 times, but I don't support him, they're liars. They never were with Trump. Okay. Most of them weren't even old enough to vote the first time. All right. So, but they just pretend. That's called fake MAGA. No, the MAGA voter base is strong and united, and we can not only win the midterms, we can gain. And, you know, if we spend the next year doing what Jesse Waters did and say that it's hopeless, you're going to depress the turnout. I've been telling you guys that's how Mamdani won. Mamdani won with the help of Curtis Sliwa, shaving off, what did he get, like 11% or something? They had 16% voter turnout in New York City because the media, including conservative media, said Mamdani can't be beat. It's done. He's going to win. He's that popular. There's no stopping him. Well, that depressed the turnout. You win when you swamp them at the polls. That's when you win. We need to spend the next year, not with this Jerry Springer drama or talking about, well, and motivate our turnout just like we did last year in the presidential election. Susie Wiles, the chief of staff for Trump, she said that they're going to run this next year like it's a presidential campaign year. She said that's never been done before. Mike just sent a $20 super chat. Thanks so much, Mike. Greatly appreciated. So, and that's not only we're going to have rallies nonstop. I don't know how he's going to do it. President Trump's so busy running the country. I guess he'll be running it on the road. Maybe he'll take some of these foreign dignitaries with him on the road. I don't know. But it's going to be like a presidential election year. And they don't have rock stars like we have. We've got the president and his cabinet, and there's some big rock stars, including Scott Bassett, who was with him in Pennsylvania. He's become a big star. Didn't really know too much about him, and other than he's gay and knows a lot about finance. But he's really good. You see him on these Sunday shows. He fillets the Sunday host like Stephen Miller. You know, I mean, we've got so many rock stars to speak. And now what we have we don't have campaign promises. We have things that he's actually done and is doing the days of the rallies all year long. So, no, we could win it and we could win big. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a gift that lasts a lifetime? One that's personal, powerful, and proudly American-made. At Back 40 Metalworks on Etsy, that's Works, W-O-R-X. They turn ideas into steel. Since 2010, Back 40 Metalworks has been crafting over 200 unique metal art designs, from wildlife and rustic decor to modern wall pieces and custom creations. With more than 30 years of experience working with metal, they know how to shape your vision into something extraordinary. Need a personalized welcome sign for your home? A company logo? A one-of-a-kind Christmas gift? Something for mom or dad on their day? Or any other day of the year? Every piece at Back 40 Metalworks is built to last, indoors or out, and every design tells a story, your story, in steel. Visit the shop online right now. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. That's W-O-R-X. And view the inventory. You will be impressed. Back40metalworks.etsy.com. They turn ideas into steel.
On the line, we have Joe Thomas, who we talk to quite often about annuities. And we talk a lot about the great benefits of annuities. Your money is never at risk no matter what happens in the stock market. You're guaranteed an income stream for the rest of your life. But Joe Thomas, there's also, as we this time of the year, tax season, there's great tax benefits to annuities as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what we're doing for clients right now before the end of the year is setting them up with an IRA annuity. A lot of people don't know that you can set up a Roth IRA and a regular traditional IRA with an annuity. Not only can you write off up to $8,000 if you're over age 50, but then you can make another contribution next year, which is going to be $8,600. And not only do you put the money away, but you get a bonus on it of 11%. So that's what we're doing for a lot of our clients. And putting your money away safely and guaranteed is a very big deal right now, Brian.
Call Joe Thomas and schedule your no-charge consultation, 561-743-0999. That's 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website, jupiterjoe.com.
How would you like to make your child's Christmas unforgettable? You can do just that with Santa Voice. With Santa Voice, you generate a personal message from Santa. It's fast, fun, and magical. Just search Santa Voice in the App Store. That's Santa Voice in the App Store.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. The president is scheduled to sign a bill today, and he's about an hour and 12 minutes behind schedule on that. If the president comes out, I'm going to cut right to it right here on the program, okay, and carry it if it happens while I'm on the air. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in and you're watching live on YouTube, the number is pinned in the live chat. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I mean, here's another thing, all right, with the importance of winning the midterm elections. The Maryland man, look at this. Another judge has ordered him released. For those of you out there that say he doesn't get due process, this guy's had more due process than anyone I've seen. The MS-13 gang member, fake Maryland man, vows to fight the Trump administration after judge blocks ICE from arresting him. Are you kidding me? Really, are you kidding me? You know, this guy, he's not just MS-13, he's a slave trafficker. Remember that traffic stop? Where was it, in Tennessee? What he did for MS-13 was transport labor. Human trafficking. He was a human trafficker. And human trafficking, whether, and notice behind him, the fake Maryland man's at this press conference in Spanish, vowing to take on Trump. He's got a person behind him wearing an Arab clothing, like this scarf like Yasser Arafat used to wear. Right, I know, these crazy groups, they're all working together. This guy, human traffickers, that's a modern term for slave traffickers. They're trafficking humans for some type of forced labor, whether it's working in a restaurant, a hotel, a brothel, a massage parlor, a restaurant, who knows? But human trafficking is slave trafficking. So this guy was a transporter for slave traffickers. I mean, think about it. Those of you that are Democrats and are African American, you know the history of the slaves, okay? And how they came to the New World. This fake Maryland man, he is the equivalent to one of the guys working on those slave ships, transporting captured black slaves from Africa to the New World, or the equivalent of a guy who worked on a plantation as an overseer, pretty low-life job, an overseer, or the guy that took the slaves from the plantation to the slave auction in town and transported them there. I mean, that's what he, and these are his own people because he's Hispanic and he's transporting human trafficking. He's transporting slaves who are Hispanic as well. It's crazy. He's the worst type of person you can be. And he's become this hero of the left. You would have to do a lot to be a bigger lowlife than him. You really would. short of killing someone, that's or a sexual assault, next to those two crimes, he's right behind, and really maybe in many ways equivalent to those. And the Democrats and the media are surrounding him like he's some type of victim. He's disgusting. It's, the people that he was driving around in that car in Tennessee, it's like in Taken with Liam Neeson when he tracked down his daughter that got kidnapped in Paris, right? These are people that are being held against their will. They're trapped in a country they don't know with no documents, no money. They don't speak the language. And he's transporting them from some slave place somewhere to where they're going to end up working, right? It's almost like, and maybe it works kind of this way, he's trafficking illegals into slavery, into servitude, into bondage from the coyotes that brought them here, who sold them off to wherever they're going to go work. And, people are saying that President Trump is not America first. He is America first. The people that oppose Trump in this country are the ones that are rallying around the fake Maryland man. So, I mean, how could it, I use this term and so much with President Trump. The things that he is doing that they are opposing are things that are universally good, that no rational person could be against. Like another example would be the no tax on tips. People that are in the tip economy never get a tax break because they don't really pay income tax so much. They pay payroll taxes. So when tax cuts come, what happens when taxes are cut, they change the income tax brackets. Well, people that earn tips don't typically pay income tax. They pay payroll tax. They're two different things. So they get no tax break. President Trump gave some of the hardest working Americans, those who work on tips, a break, no tax on tips. That's amazing. That is life-changing money for that group of people. Life-changing money, no matter how the economy is. And the economy's booming right now. And the Democrats oppose that. Big tax deduction for seniors, thousands of dollars for seniors that are receiving Social Security benefits, no tax on overtime. These are huge tax breaks. Virtually every Social Security recipient in America is going to get a big tax return after they file their taxes next year because of the big, beautiful bill. This is life-changing money for people. Life-changing. And all because of Trump. And the Democrats opposed every single... Who could be against that? They go around and say, oh, well, no, the people that benefited are billionaires. Well, billionaires and millionaires get tax breaks too, yeah. But they're millionaires and billionaires anyway. They don't like paying taxes. Who does? But they do. Maybe they can only buy 1 or 2 yachts. Now they can buy 3 or 4 with it. Who knows? But the millionaires and billionaires, are they going to have any lifestyle changes or major life changes because of the tax cuts? No. But overtime workers or tip workers, the big, beautiful bill tax cuts are life-changing in the amount of income they'll be bringing in every year forever because of it. And the Democrats are opposing that, something that's universally good. President Trump is constantly doing things that no reasonable person could oppose. They are universally good. What I was talking about with the fentanyl, how he's wiping out fentanyl, arresting slavers like the fake Maryland man, right? A slave trafficker, arresting and deporting slave traffickers, giving the biggest tax cuts to people that never get tax cuts. Who could be against this? Well, the Never Trumpers are against this, right? The permanent Washington class, the media, the Democrats, they're against these things. And President Trump is giving all Americans $2,000 next year as a profit sharing from the tariff money that's coming in, which is just massive. Married couples will get $4,000. He set up these accounts for children that their parents will be able to access July 5th next year. Kids will graduate high school, turn 18 years old, and have enough money to buy a house or pay for a college education. Who could be against such things? He's doing and what he's doing. It's not that I don't support Trump. I'm America first. These are all America first issues, right? All of them. Getting rid of drugs, getting rid of the human slave traffickers, the fake Maryland man, right? Big tax cuts to groups of people that are struggling, senior citizens surviving on Social Security benefits, a waitress, a bartender who's got a couple kids at home and she's working hard and now she's got this huge tax break, no tax on tips, right? Somebody working overtime, you're taxed higher on overtime. Not anymore, there's no tax on overtime. All these things. No reasonable person could oppose any of these things. And these are the things that we've got to talk about and point out through all of next year. Not get involved in this Jerry Springer drama that even I have found myself getting involved in sometimes. So I'm going to do my best over the next year not to get sidetracked into this stupidity and this drama, and talk about the things that are really important. I want to share this clip of Tom Homan, which is pretty amazing. These ICE raids, they've been getting tips in advance, these evildoers on the left, on where ICE was going to be raiding. Tom Homan was on Hannity the other night. Listen.
What is our Tom Homan? Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside, and we know the first leak of Aurora is under current investigation. We think we identified that person under investigation right now. The California leak, Secretary Noem, she's correct. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation. And they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute. So we're all over it.
Okay. So someone inside the FBI had been leaking to all of these leftist groups where ICE was going to go for their next raid. Tom Homan, they said that somebody in the FBI, they've identified them. And the Deputy Attorney General is going to prosecute, and they're going to go to jail. The reason I share that story, it shows you what President Trump is up against, doesn't it? Holy smokes. And Kash Patel and Bongino and Pam Bondi and the rest. You see what they're up against. Inside the FBI, they're sabotaging other federal agents. What happened to that thin blue line, right? Now, if you'd like to support my content, my channel, my podcast, everything I do, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description of this and every episode to my Patreon page. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of my podcast episodes, as well as a lot of exclusive content that my wife Kathy and I post to Patreon that we post nowhere else. And if you become a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen and a live on-air thank you shout-out. So the names you'll hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, Janice, Teresa, and Irene. Thank you so much, guys. Those are my top Patreon supporters. If you would like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this and every episode. Okay? Or you can go directly to patreon.com/RealBrianCraigShow. And I just want to mention, Patreon has an option to become a free Patreon supporter. If you become a free Patreon supporter, you don't have access to any of this stuff. You got to become a paid Patreon supporter to have access to all of that exclusive material that I mentioned, including the Patreon-only live streams that I do on the Patreon platform. All right? All right, my name's Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm going to take a quick break and much more to share after this. Don't go anywhere.
We're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Hank from Hollywood. How you doing?
All right, Hank. What's on your mind?
I called Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. He sent out Scott. Now, Scott is absolutely the best. Scott and Scott's crew are the absolute best. They gave me a great price. They did the job when they said they were going to do it. They finished the job when they said they were going to do it. The materials they used, absolutely the best. I want to thank Tom. I definitely want to thank Scott, and definitely want to thank Scott's crew. These people are number one, and I just want your listeners to know, Tom Laporta at Tom Laporta Roofing. If you need a new roof, call Tom at Tom Laporta Roofing. You're not going to go wrong. You're not going to be disappointed.
Do what Hank did. Call Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing on his cell phone, 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, and online, laportaroofing.com.
On the line, we have Gina. She's a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. Gina, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Brian?
I'm doing great, thanks. So you went and met with Joe Thomas about annuities. Can you tell me about your experience?
I can't say enough good things about my experience with Joe Thomas. He's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is. He talks in plain language so that you know, because I didn't know anything about this stuff when I retired. So I walked into his office, and immediately I felt comfortable. And I said, look, I know nothing about this. I don't want to lose my shirt. So please guide me in the right direction so that I'll be set. And he sure did. And I'm very happy that I went there. And I even got my mother to join, too. Now I feel comfortable that I'm set, and I don't have to worry about running out of money.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than running out of money before you run out of life, right?
Exactly.
Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999 and online, jupiterjoe.com. All right, Gina, thanks so much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I am monitoring. The president is, 90 minutes late to his bill signing. So I am monitoring. If he does come out to do that signing, I will cover it. But before I do get back to the issues, because there are some big ones I want to talk about, I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. You know, Tom Laporta is a good MAGA guy. He'll never sell you a roof you do not need. If you need just a simple repair, Tom Laporta will do it. And I know that for a fact because I have talked to multiple listeners who thought they needed a roof. One guy, he had gotten 5 estimates. They all said he needed a new roof. Tom came out and said, nope, you just need a repair. One guy, he had a leak. Thought he needed a whole new roof, had a leak. Tom came out. It was a leaky air conditioning line, right? It's pretty amazing. So, you know, honesty in the roofing business is unheard of outside of Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. He covers the entire state of Florida, both the east and west coast of Florida, and everywhere in between. He can handle the job of any size, if it's a single-family home or a single office building or a single municipal building, or an HOA that has over 450 units. He can handle it all. This number rings directly to Tom Laporta's cell phone. You can call or text 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. That's 954-604-4602. And online, laportaroofing.com. Okay, so getting back to the issues, Mike Lindell announced he's running for governor of Minnesota. And Minnesota historically is a Democrat state as of late, although there have been Republicans that have won. It's been a while. Norm Coleman was a senator, and he lost. He got elected, but he lost, and he was a Republican. So it is possible. But right now, Minnesota, certainly for the governorship, is very much in play. Very much in play. And Mike Lindell has a really good chance because of the corruption of Tim Walz and also the Somali $8 billion theft. There's major financial scandals going on. And I had a story a couple days ago that I talked about that 81% of the Somali refugees in Minnesota, there was a big story on Breitbart about this, 81% of Somalian refugees in Minnesota are on at least one, many are on multiple, but on at least one form of welfare. So virtually the entire Somali population is almost all on welfare, and a big chunk of them are stealing billions of dollars from the taxpayer. It's a big scandal, and people are pretty ticked off about it, even in Minnesota. So the time is right. So, as opposed to talking about something that Candace Owens did on some bender of likes and shares with crazy conspiracy theories, don't you think this is a more important story? And believe me, the left are not happy. This is Mike Lindell. I'll play some of this. This is his announcement video that he's running. He's running for governor.
Many of you already know me. You know that I was a crack cocaine addict along with many other addictions. And you also know that by the grace of God that I overcame my addiction to drugs on January 16, 2009. You also know that I founded the Lindell Recovery Network to help others overcome their addictions. You know that I founded the amazing, successful company, MyPillow. You know that MyPillow and myself have spent millions providing aid to hurricane victims, flood victims, fire victims, struggling inner cities, and of course, those struggling with drug addiction. I was the media darling. They'd say, Mike, how many former addicts are you hiring? How many veterans are you hiring? And they would say, wow, your company, you're the American dream on steroids. And then in the summer of 2016, I met Donald Trump on August 15, 2016 in a divine appointment. He reached out to me to discuss how, MyPillow, how is it making all your products here in the USA? And from that point on, the media turned on me. Of course, you all know the story. They've attacked me ever since. You also know that on February 18, 2017, I gave my life to Jesus Christ. I had a few months later, I went on to lead over 50,000 people in prayer at US Bank Stadium. I thought that was going to be my only calling, leading people to Jesus Christ. I had never voted. I didn't think politics mattered. Then along came the 2020 election. And you all know that I have been relentless.
And this goes on for about 10 minutes. So I'll play more of it later in the show. Mike Lindell, if it weren't for Tim Walz and the Somalia scandal, the chances of a Republican winning a statewide race for governor of Minnesota would be slim to none. But right now it's perfect. All Mike Lindell needs is, support, right, from people and of course, covering it, right? Got to do that. But the other thing he needs is if professional campaign people going to Minnesota who have experience running successful statewide campaigns. It is in play because I'm here to tell you, people in Minnesota work hard. The weather there sucks. I'm in Florida. We have great weather. It was 57 degrees this morning. That's freezing winter weather for us in Florida. But in Minnesota, could you imagine what it is this morning? Oh my goodness, snow and ice, and oh my goodness, it's awful. They're going to work in that, working hard, paying taxes. So a bunch of fake refugees can be retired on their tax money with money they're stealing, or loaded up on multiple welfare programs while they're going to work in the snow and the ice. There are people that have never voted and swore probably they never would vote for a Republican ever that would vote for Mike Lindell this time around because of this Somali scandal. And as opposed to talking about the Jerry Springer drama, we've got to talk about these issues. Like right now, today, the Democrat committee, they released all these Epstein photos, almost 100,000 of them. Trump's in 4 of them, and there's nothing inappropriate, just photos with some famous guy somewhere, And anytime you hear the name Epstein, that's someone trying to distract you with some shiny keys to get you as if there's a scandal. Nothing there, And President Trump signed the release of the Epstein files into law. He got the Congress to pass the bill. He called on them to do it. They did it. It was a Thursday or a Friday. I think it was a Friday. By Wednesday, he signed the bill into law, and now that everything's coming out. And he took away that go-to issue. Well, what about the files? When are the files coming out? It's now federal law that all the files will be released, and they're coming out now. You see all these distractions? Because, President Trump, when I say he's the most important president ever, he's doing really not just in our country, he's doing this on a global scale. He is doing an entire global reset back to normalcy or normalcy or normalcy, whichever the word is. Been a long day, guys. From this freak show that's been going on in the country. And I give you an example. One of the biggest fake news stories I've ever seen was this week here in Florida over this story that Miami flipped blue. And I did a whole show on this on Wednesday. So I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I want to talk about it for a minute. Okay? Miami did not flip blue. That is a lie. Okay? Miami is a big county. A lot of people don't know this. It's a big county. Inside Miami-Dade County, which, by the way, is red, MAGA red, flipped red a few years ago, and it's not going back. There's a whole bunch of cities, a whole bunch. One of the smallest of the cities inside Miami is the city of Miami. The city of Miami. Those of us who live in South Florida, when we say we're going to Miami, it's really vague. You could be going to Miami Beach. You could be going to downtown Miami. You could be going to Kendall. You could be going to Coconut Grove. You could be going to Coral Gables. You could be going to Doral, where Trump has his golf course. I mean, it's endless. Sweetwater, it's endless where you're going to go when you say you're going to Miami. The city of Miami is a tiny, tiny little city inside a big old county called Miami-Dade County. And Miami-Dade County, when you hear Ron DeSantis or President Trump talk about flipping Miami red, they're talking about Miami-Dade County. So I put this map out Wednesday, and I'm showing it up on YouTube now, but this is on my X, Brian Craig Show on X, and you can take this map and share it. And those of you watching on YouTube, these lines that you see are the county lines for Miami. The county of it's Miami-Dade County. Years ago, when I was growing up, it was called Dade County, and a number of years ago, they changed the name to Miami-Dade County because everybody called it Miami anyway. And it is a big county. To the north is Broward County. That's where Fort Lauderdale is. And Miami is a massive county. Massive county. The city of Miami is a very tiny little city. Now, it does have in it some important things. Downtown Miami, that famous skyline, the port of Miami is there. Okay? But that's about it. It's a tiny little town. And yeah, this tiny little town did flip blue, but Miami didn't flip blue. The city of Miami went blue. Okay? Yeah. And only about 14%, I looked all this up, by the way, this population data, only about 14% of all the people that live in Miami-Dade County, only about 14% of them live in the city of Miami. And the Democrat that won that election only got about 22,000 votes. And the media have turned this into Miami's gone blue. And I've heard people, even Ron DeSantis himself, talking about this, and no one is pointing it out like I am. These are the things we got to be talking about, okay? These are the things we've got to be covering. These are the things that they're lying about in the fake news media to try and hurt our president and all of us. And if you buy this crap or you get involved in this Jerry Springer thing that we've been talking about today, the caller earlier referred to all the influencer drama as Jerry Springer. I think that's perfect. Okay? Then yeah, the Democrats will win. But if we stick to the issues and keep explaining the things that Trump is doing, we'll have a massive turnout and we will win the majority back and maybe even gain seats. And I don't think that's that difficult to do unless we let these disruptions stop us. My name's Brian Craig. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms. Thanks for watching. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. If you're already subscribed, please like the video and share the program on all your social media. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.